Hello and welcome to the Manufacturing Connector, your gateway to the future of manufacturing. Our mission is to empower manufacturers with insights into the latest innovations transforming the industry. Each week, we bring you cutting-edge case studies, expert interviews, and in-depth demos of the tools, technologies, and techniques driving manufacturing forward. I'm your host, Jim Mayer, and today we're joined by Brad Benedict, State Workforce Advisor at Transfr. With nearly a decade of experience in the ceramic manufacturing industry, Brad transitioned into workforce development, where he's been dedicated to creating a qualified workforce for the manufacturing industry. At Transfr, Brad focuses on delivering immersive, hands-on virtual reality tools that introduce and train the next generation of manufacturing professionals. In today's episode, we'll explore how Transfr is addressing one of the biggest challenges in manufacturing, building that skilled workforce. Brad will walk us through how Transfr's innovative VR training solutions are helping to bridge the skills gap, provide real-world experience, and create classroom-to-career pathways that lead to well-paying jobs in high-demand fields. We'll also dive into real-world examples of how these tools are making a tangible impact on communities and industries. Let's discover how immersive technologies are shaping the future of workforce development on the Manufacturing Connector. Hello, Brad. Welcome to the Manufacturing Connector. How are you doing today?
Jim, it is a pleasure to be here, and I can't wait to take a trip down my manufacturing memory lane and talk about how immersive virtual reality technology is giving a much needed facelift to an industry that's shrouded in misconceptions and a lot of things that are just not so much true about manufacturing in 2024.
Absolutely. I'm pretty excited, man. Brad, to start things off, I'd love for you to give us your history, a little bit of brief. I know we're going to do an episode on that show, so I don't know how much you want to save for that, but tell us your history. How did you get to where you are with Transfr?
Well, Jim, it has been a wild ride. I'm going to be honest with you here. I come from really humble beginnings, and I did not get my start in manufacturing until much later in life. Honestly, I spent about 15 years in the restaurant industry. So I went from being one of the youngest general managers in a restaurant that I was running for a while to just wanting to do more with technology and people. So that landed me in some Fortune 500 companies before I found my home in manufacturing, where I did some really awesome things. I mean, honestly, Jim, my time in manufacturing was the right job at the right time for me and has really catapulted me into what I'm doing now at Transfr, which is supporting manufacturing on a different level by using virtual reality technology, not only to break the stigmas that manufacturing has, just to use the euphemism here of smokestacks and steel mills that manufacturing used to be known for, is just not that anymore. So to be able to bring a piece of technology that today's youth are naturally gravitating towards and kind of putting a fun spin on career exploration and breaking those stigmas of manufacturing is a tremendous joy. But it's not just the role of introducing manufacturing as a viable career pathway. It's about upskilling and giving people the employability skills to earn a sustainable income that manufacturing is really, really known for.
Yeah, absolutely. It can break generational curses. It can create sustainable career pathways. I mean, it's a powerful industry and one that I'm glad you're a part of, and I'm glad you're making changes in. So tell us, Brad, about Transfr. Tell us a little bit more about the organization itself. Where is it located? How many employees? What's its mission? All of those kinds of fun things.
Yeah, so fun things indeed. So Transfr has been around since 2017, and honestly, manufacturing was our first big aha moment. We are proudly employing nearly 300 people plus now, with product licenses serving multiple industries, but manufacturing by far is our largest offering. And really the catalyst of what we're trying to do here is, as you said, to break those generational poverty cycles, create upward mobility for communities all across America, and to just shine a well-deserved light on an industry that I consider to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. When we got our start, we were working with a workforce development board down in Alabama. This is back in 2017 when the conversation first started. We were trying to figure out how we can help a major manufacturer with employee retention rates, especially for their entry-level positions. So one thing about employee retention rates is that if you have high employee churn, that's really expensive to retrain and rehire and go through that. It's really, really cost prohibitive. And when you're trying to make products that are going to be used globally in many different fashions, the last thing that you want to have to worry about is whether people are going to show up to work on time or Absolutely. At all.
Yep.
So we talked to the Workforce Development Board down in Alabama, and we were finding that people just didn't understand what they were getting themselves into. They didn't know how to use micrometers and calipers and do precision measurement. What we did is we figured out that if you can make learning fun and informational, that maybe that could help alleviate some of these retention problems when people didn't know what they were getting themselves into when stepping onto a shop floor. To expect someone trying to get into an entry-level position in an industry they have no experience in, that doesn't really give a recipe for success. We decided to go out. We're going to use this modern technology of virtual reality. We're going to create training simulations, not only to introduce the concept of using these instruments, the micrometers and the calipers, but also to reintroduce education as well. So we developed these simulations. We ran a cohort of 20 students through them. Never gave them the real instruments at all, just did it all virtually, right? Ran them through. It was about a 4-week process of training, doing nothing but training in virtual reality. And then that manufacturer that was having that retention problem, they sent their hiring manager to the Workforce Development Board just to see if this process had any meat to it. They brought the actual instruments the very first time these people ever got a hold of them, and the hiring manager was blown away by the results that they had seen and offered everyone jobs on the spot. Now, wow. That's pretty impressive, right? Let's play devil's advocate though, because that manufacturer had an employee retention rate after 6 months of 30%. So 70% of the people that they would hire, only 30% of them would be still maintaining that employment after 6 months. Not good, right?
No.
So what we found here is that virtual reality training simulations were able to qualify and people's interests in a career. And we know this because of the 20 individuals that went through our training program. One of them decided, Jim, sorry, manufacturing's not for me. I am not interested. I'm going to bow out of this program. Thank you very much for the experience. Have a great day.
Yep.
Well, usually negative situations like that are, frowned upon, right? Negativity begets negativity. This person doesn't want anything to do with the manufacturing industry, except for that employer. This was a screener. Now that person wasn't going to come on board. They weren't going to invest the resources and train them and get them up to speed, only to lose them within that 6-month time frame.
Yep.
Well, that left 19 people there. Another one dropped out, right? But now this one was an interesting case that we'll just call him number 18 for the sake of conversation here, right? They did not want to take that opportunity at the time because they found a passion for manufacturing and wanted to return to education to pursue a degree.
Okay.
So very valid point, or very valid statement here. Now it's not a right time. I want to get more skills. I want to get more education. With more skills and education comes higher earning potential. no that turned a negative into a positive outcome.
Yeah.
Right? So that left the other 18 individuals there. And they all accepted the position. And after 6 months, we checked back in. And what do you think, Jim, was the retention rate of those remaining 18 people that opted to choose that career?
I'm hoping 100% of those 18 were still there.
100 would be awesome. Sad to say it wasn't 100, but 92 is pretty darn good.
I'll take that all day long, man. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So that's when we realized we had lightning in a bottle, right? So to go from a 30% retention rate to a 92% retention rate after 6 months, that was a pretty big deal. And again, by the time we developed these simulations, we got our start in 2017. Now it's 2019. We have our simulations out there. They're doing good. They're training individuals. It's 2024. That was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Since then, that manufacturer has hired over 250 individuals by using virtual reality as a screener. And they're still maintaining that 92 to 93% employee retention rate, which is phenomenal. Not only was that done down there in Alabama, but we actually were able to recreate that use case in Western New York in Syracuse with the same manufacturer, just in a different location. So now all of a sudden, this is becoming ingrained in big manufacturing as a viable tool, not only to qualify individuals for employment, but also to make sure they have the skills to thrive once they were employed.
Yeah.
Since then, it's been rocket ships away, and we've been trying to replicate this not only in the manufacturing industry, but the automotive industry, the construction industry, the healthcare industry. And I'm happy to say that we're having some tremendous results. But I love me some manufacturing. That's where we got our start. That's where we have our largest product offering. And to this day is still a tremendous part of the transfer experience in education and workforce development.
That's awesome, man. That's a great story, great origin story. And I'm sure this manufacturer lost some people, right? Because unless they grew by 250 employees over that time, they lost some people, but it wasn't due to that initial not being a right fit for the industry, right? They were able to get those people that wanted to be there, I guess is the best way to put that. Am I wrong in that?
No, you're not wrong. In fact, that's the whole point of employment, right? You want to start creating momentum. You want to develop talent from within. But in order to develop talent, you need to have talent interested in the job itself.
Yeah.
So if they don't have the interest, then their performance is not going to be as high. Mistakes are going to happen. And I don't know about you, Jim, but in manufacturing, when a mistake happens, it's not as simple as I put the wrong pickle on a hamburger. It could be catastrophic. So
Absolutely.
To be able to train people and give them the skills to operate and thrive professionally in these environments, it's tremendous.
So, Brad, let's talk about some success stories. Walk us through educational success stories, as well as maybe one or two other private sector success stories that you may have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So career exploration, right? Career exploration helps inform student academic pathways. And the earlier that you can use career exploration, the better. Middle school students have to make the decision about some of the high school enrollments that they have. And if they can get on that right path in high school, they can then make that informed decision about what they want to do after graduation. Sure. Is it an apprenticeship? Is it a community college? Is it a four-year college? Or is it even just going right into the workforce?
Sure.
So to use this technology and allowing middle and high school students to have these aha moments, all on their own, because I don't know about you, but like with my kids, they're 11 and 8. It's one thing to tell them to do something. Their eyes will kind of glaze over, but if you can explain to them the process of why you're asking them to do it, then they're going to be a little bit more likely to cooperate. So instead of having students take, all of these assessments that are just going to say, hey, Brad, you could possibly be good in manufacturing or healthcare or what have you, students have the ability to take that information, put on a VR headset, and find out for themselves if it's something that works for them. It might say, maybe you would be best suited being a lineman and repairing transformers and keeping electricity and Wi-Fi and all that happy fun stuff going in your community. Well, that sounds great. You could have all the mechanical knowledge and all of that jazz, but what if you're afraid of heights? Climbing up on those utility poles, my friend, it could be a little scary.
Absolutely.
But in virtual reality, you can do that very, very safely with never leaving the ground. Yet within that VR headset, you're going to be climbing that utility pole. You're going to get to the top. You're going to look down 45, 50, or however many feet it is to the ground. You're going to get that sensation of, holy cow, if I fall, that could be pretty scary. But you're never going to be in real danger. Now they can make that informed decision. Well, maybe being a lineman's not right for me, but I really do love the electrical component. Maybe electrical construction is a better pathway for me. Maybe it's doing broadband installation instead. Broadband is the way of the future. Heck, dial-up, I don't know, I still have nightmares and PTSD of the dial-up tone as you're trying to log into America Online from when we were kids. The struggles that our kids are never going to have to deal with. But, VR brings the fun and the engagement to career exploration. It puts kids where the action is and lets them make that informed decision. But it's not just kid-centric.
Yeah.
It's also directed towards educational success for the teachers that are in the classroom. There are some states across the country that require a career readiness artifact. They need to have certain benchmarks in order to graduate high school. And they could be assessments and the introduction of different career paths. Well, VR checks those boxes in a way that meets students where their interests are, but provides the educational content that our education system is trying to put. So it's a win-win situation. You get the data and the analytics that our educators love and need in order to have a successful classroom, but then you get the fun and the engagement and the gamified process of learning through virtual reality. So that's one great use case at the middle school level, but this technology can impact workforce development. I mean, it's funny to say, like, our education system is part of our workforce development system. They are providing the workforce of the future. And that is where the next generation of engineers and doctors and nurses and all of that are going to come from. But it starts in our K-12 school district. But the workforce comes from so many different places. Let's talk about reducing recidivism rates for people that are impacted by the justice system. The manufacturing industry is a great ally to these people in offering them sustainable pathways once they return back to their community and try to course correct the actions that got them into trouble in the first place.
Yeah.
Manufacturing is just a tremendous option. So we're seeing really great statistics in applying these educational models for higher education and K-12 education, but within the prison system. VR is a way to bring these tools into a correctional facility, let people learn about careers, let them get the employability skills to get employed once they return, reduce the likelihood of them that are going to go, that would potentially put them back into the correctional facility when it's all done. And you have some real healing that comes in with this. So it's not only about putting students on a pathway, but it's about course correction for young adults or older adults that may have made a mistake or were in the wrong place at the wrong time, which is a large majority of people in our prison system.
Yeah.
In addition to that, connecting ecosystems. Workforce development is more than just job skills training. It's connecting our education system with our economic development systems, our workforce development systems, and ultimately connecting them to industry that is in dire need of people with skill sets that are, for a lack of better terms, missing. The skilled labor gap that's out there is getting wider by the day. Our current workforce is aging in a number of skilled trade careers. The average workforce is around 55 years old, without a younger generation to come up from behind and to learn from them and to step in when they well-deserved retire when they're ready to do so. So there's a lot of different use cases for this technology in education, workforce development, economic development, course correcting in the prison system, and really just to put people on that real classroom to career pathway.
Are you guys involved? Are former military, are our veterans using this as they exit their military service? Is this also a pathway for this to be used?
100%. One of the tough challenges that our active duty military is, or our veterans that are coming home, is how do they transfer the skills that they learned in the military into civilian life? Because they don't have the jobs as we know them here on the civilian land. They have really important jobs that have the same skills, but how do they translate, or how are they transferred back into civilian life? VR is a great tool to get them in the headset, kind of see the world of work from a different lens, and help them make that transition and bring that skill set right back to civilian life. There is some really great statistics around our veteran workforce and how once they're able to gain employment, they're some of the most loyal workers that are out there. But it's a challenge for them to translate their skills from the military into civilian life, so their unemployment rate for our active military folks is higher than the employment rate, the easier that we can make it for them to transition their skills and get that employment, the easier it is for them to get back to life and return back home and have some fun while doing it.
That's awesome. I love that. So, I mean, this technology can truly impact so many different people. And I would also imagine that people who are mid-career, right? People who may have either been in jobs where they're tossing boxes for Amazon, or working in fast food or restaurant industry, but then also on the white collar side, right? People who may get fed up with that rat race and be interested in exploring what else is out there.
100%. So the court of public opinion right now is really down on higher education in general. Yeah. And I think there's part of it is that for the longest time, there was this overemphasis that in order to be successful, you needed to have a 4-year degree. And while a degree is tremendously important to have, it's the alignment of that degree in the field that you want to work in. So there's a lot of people that are out there that have degrees, but they're not working in the field that they have their degree in. So the opinion is why did I even go to school to begin with to get this degree? I wasted 4 years of time, maybe over $100,000 of money that I have to pay back, and it didn't even get me to where I need to go. Yep. That's a massive, massive pain point. So you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I think a lot of people want that white collar lifestyle, but they really enjoy the satisfaction that comes from that blue collar work. This technology's reach, it's so much more than what we've ever seen before. Yes, we could take these assessments and answer all these questions, and it could do analytics on our personality and tell us where our skills are. But unless you can see for yourself, if you could actually do it and do it well, having that confidence to go into a job, maybe you don't have to have 2 or 3 careers in your professional life. Maybe you can knock it down to 1 to 2. Heck, maybe it could only be 1. I mean, there was a time in Americana where there was great pride in not job hopping. Gen Z and Gen Alpha and all of these other folks, they're job hopping now. Maybe that's just because they weren't put on the right path that they should have been on all along. And this technology is opening up these pathways, introducing these careers, and just allowing that start of momentum to build and to just be able to learn and grow and sustain yourself.
Brad, I know you don't have necessarily a demo, because if you did, then we'd just watch you with those goggles that are behind you, like playing Star Wars looking type games. But so I know you brought a video today, to really show us what Transfr is all about, what the platform looks like. Can you share that with us now? Absolutely.
I have an amazing video that I want to share today, but
Awesome.
before I get into it, I just kind of want to lay a backdrop here.
Please.
The world of work looks a little bit different in 2024 than it did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And it's sure as heck is going to look a lot different 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. What this technology has the ability to do is to bring the careers of tomorrow into view today. And especially in manufacturing, this is incredibly important because manufacturing covers so many different areas, but it's also manual labor or it's automation. Sometimes manufacturing could be dirty and grimy, but it could also be high-tech clean rooms and robotics and everything and anything in between. So what I want to share with you guys today is a very important career that is gonna catapult people into the future. I don't know, Jim, if you know about the CHIPS Act that's out there, but the big initiative here about bringing semiconductor manufacturing back to American soil to stop depending on China and all these other nations across the world into developing these semiconductor chips. Now, that's just a fancy, I mean, semiconductor manufacturing is going to be huge, not only in Arizona, but it's going to be big in New York. It's going to be big in Ohio, and it's going to have a ripple effect in communities across the country. Because as we bring these jobs back home, that's also going to bring an increase in populations to the communities where these jobs are going to be at. So as you know, these jobs come in, there's going to be an increase in demand in construction workers to either rebuild or repurpose older buildings or build new infrastructure in order to support it. And then in addition to that, with an increase in population, you're going to see an increase in need of healthcare services. So manufacturing is going to bring a great deal of jobs just in that space, but it's going to also bring jobs in a lot of other spaces too. So I like to think that manufacturing plays a big role as a connector in a lot of different workforce environments. But in regards to the video I'm going to show you here, Jim, it's not that long. It's about 1 minute and 14 seconds, but cool. This is going to give a little bit of a sneak peek into what current semiconductor manufacturing looks like, why it's important, and how you're going to be able to get into the field itself. So
we'll use a metrology tool to find contaminated chips. Even the smallest amount of dust can stop a chip from working properly. That's why contaminants can cause malfunctions in devices that use these chips. First, we need to request the front opening unified pod, or FOUP, which holds a stack of wafers. I've got the command queued up. Just touch this button on the computer screen. The red dots indicate the particles found on each. Which wafer looks contaminated? Tap it now. Now we're small enough to see the particles on the surface of this wafer. See why it's so important to keep these bits of dust out of the clean room? I'll use the metrology tool to take pictures of this wafer. I'll also send a report over to another technician. Thanks for helping out today.
Wow. So, I mean, that's phenomenal, Brad. Tell me, so I can see that being used to get people interested. Can you also use Transfr to give them the skills to then be shop ready, manufacturing ready? And how long would that process take with a set of Transfr goggles there?
Yeah. So before I get into that, I just want to give a couple shout outs in that video itself. So
Okay.
when I talked about breaking the misconceptions about manufacturing, did that work environment, Jim, look dirty, dingy, grimy?
Oh.
No. Were those people dressed in ripped clothing, tattered clothing, kind of looking unprofessional? It did not. I mean, this is the thing about manufacturing in 2024. It could be a lot of things, but what it really is just a great opportunity in a number of different ways. So some of the things in that video that you may have seen, there was a little bubble with the face in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a digital coach. So we know in education, if you're going to be training people, that our teachers want to be included in the process. So by including a digital coach in there, that kind of helps ease instructor bandwidth inside the classroom by giving an extra set of hands to guide the learner through the simulation. This way, it's a seamless transition from sitting at your desk to putting on the headset to being transported into that work environment and to doing these tasks. So the digital coach is awesome. Then it's the gamification, and like I had said about, explaining to my kids the reasoning behind the task that you're doing. Why are those particles a problem on these microchips? Well, not only is it because you see that there's a lot of little red dots on a screen, VR has the unique ability to either put somebody really up high but keep them safe, or shrink them down to be able to explain the concept of why these dust particles are a real nuisance on the manufacturing process for semiconductor chips. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Really important to break the stigma, make it fun, make it engaging, make it last, inform decisions, build confidence. Now, as far as it goes in regards to gaining these employability skills, that goes into how these simulations are designed. Now, we spend so many hours working with subject matter experts and going to industry first to make sure that we understand the real job expectations or the real job skills that you're going to need to thrive in the environment. A textbook is going to give you all of the ins and outs, but maybe you're only going to use 75% of that. And if you didn't retain the information that's really pertinent to thrive in the job, then you're going to be at a disadvantage when you do become employed and get onto that shop floor. So we went out to industry, we figured out what the essential skills are, and then we made these simulations that are mapped back to industry and national training standards. So in regard to manufacturing, it's going to be standards such as OSHA 10 and OSHA 30. And a lot of times in these training environments, if you're going to try to get an OSHA 30 certification and do 30 hours of training, it's not always engaging and you're not always going to get the most out of it. So this is a way to make those 30 hours fun, impactful, and to enhance the curriculum that's there, just to increase those positive outcomes after the program is completed. So our training simulations are not designed to be a standalone training procedure. They're designed to bridge the gap between fundamental theory learning or book learning and the always important, never to be replaced hands-on learning that is required to enter these skill-based careers. So it could be 4 weeks, it could be 8 weeks, 10 weeks. It all depends on the program or the educational institution and how their framework is designed. But this could be scaffolded in as much or as little or as applicable as needed. It just so happens in manufacturing, we have over 100 simulations that break down all the different tools, the safety procedures, how to use them, how to read blueprints, how to operate safely in a manufacturing facility, how to really give people that skill and that head start to thrive after they sign on the dotted line and say, yes, Jim, I want to work for you at your manufacturing company. Let's go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Brad, What haven't I asked you about Transfr that you want to share with the viewers today?
I think the biggest takeaway here is that change is normally scary, right? Change in how we teach, changing jobs can be scary. When you can make an informed decision, that helps ease a lot of those concerns that are out there. There's so much information regarding VR technology and use cases outside of what it's known for in gaming and entertainment. I just want to give advice out there to anyone that's considering this as an option. Do your research. VR is not a solution for everybody, but it's a solution for a lot of people. And when you get the information that's out there, you might be surprised at how applicable this technology can be in the classroom, in the workforce, in these environments, and really to help break the stigmas that some industries have and get people the skills needed to sustain themselves, to grow, and have a really great future.
How can people get a hold of you, Brad?
Yeah, I am on LinkedIn. I probably annoy people with how much content I generate on LinkedIn. I cannot talk about VR technology and the impact it's having enough. My email address is bbenedict@transfervr.com. Email me, DM me, whatever you need to do to get the information. Would love to have a conversation, see if it's a right fit for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brad, for being on today. Very much appreciate your time, effort, energy that you spent with us today. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I guess I should probably say go to transfervr.com, transferinc.com, actually, because we rebranded that a little bit ago. Yes, our website's got a lot of information. So email me, DM me, transferinc.com. Don't know why I keep wanting to say VR. Transferinc.com. Go there, get the information. Let's chat.
Awesome. Folks, thank you for joining us on the Manufacturing Connector. We hope, Brad and I hope, that you found today's episode insightful and practical. Again, a special thanks to Brad Benedict from Transfr for showing us how their VR training solutions are revolutionizing workforce development and helping to build those skilled workforce that our industry so desperately needs. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like it, comment, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss an update. Hit that icon to get notified every time we release a new video. I'd also love to hear your thoughts and questions in the comments below. What challenges are you facing in your journey in the industry? And what topics would you like us to cover in future episodes? Stay connected with us on social media for more exclusive content and updates. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Remember, at the Manufacturing Connector, we're here to empower you with the latest innovations and insights in this phenomenal world of manufacturing. Join us next time as we continue to explore the future, one solution at a time. Until then, keep innovating, keep connecting, and see the future of manufacturing today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.